The 2020 MLB season is over, and much to the chagrin of my co-host Norbz, the Los Angeles Dodgers, for the first time since 1988, have won the World Series. A 32-year drought is over, and obviously, congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers and their fans. Droughts are not fun. I can imagine. I'm sure as a Cub fan, they're gonna say droughts are not fun of any year. But congratulations to the Dodgers. It was a long, at least in my opinion, it was a long time coming for them after the misery they felt with the Astros, with the Red Sox, the Nationals, and then before that, NLCS losses. So many years. It goes all the way back to 88. They pulled it off. People like Kershaw has his ring. Dave Roberts, all the hate instantly goes away with the title. And this LA is a city of champions for now. I mean, with the Lakers, what they did a couple of weeks back. So I can only imagine what it feels like to be a citizen of Los Angeles at this time. Isn't that right, Norb?
Well, absolutely. Los Angeles finally had their day in the sun with the Dodgers and also the Lakers winning the championships in their respective sports. And the Tampa Bay Rays fought really hard, giving the Dodgers a run for their money. However, they prevailed, and as much as MLB, Major League Baseball wants the Dodgers to win the World Series. They finally got their wish, right? So
I'm sure that's on your mind, or I'm sure you would think that.
There you go, MLB. You got your big market.
Hey,
you got your
man.
big market franchise winning the championship for you, so you got to be happy with that.
The bitterness. We recorded this. We're 2 days removed from the whole thing, and it's still on his mind. I'm like, MLB wanted it from day one. Girl,
yes, indeed. Well, that's the thing with Major League Baseball. They love the big market franchises, and I don't mean to be biased or anything, but it's exactly what they want.
And of course, we do. Before we go on with our first and fouls, obviously you got to give congratulations to the Tampa Bay Rays. Proving that yes, that old money ball, mentality does work, and they came just inches away from that title. And they've had so many moments that I know Rays fans will remember for a long time, and even just in general, just being there, still the fact they're in the World Series is such a big accomplishment. And obviously, like I said, you want to win the whole thing. Yeah. But congratulations to them. They have a heck of a roster. I'm sure they'll get paid at some point down the road. Who are we kidding? Man. No salary cap, none of that, luxury tax. They'll work around this, and they deserve it. Like Arozarena, we're gonna get the Arozarenas very soon. But congratulations to them on an incredible run. Just unfortunately, just for them, just came up short.
Yeah, Tampa fought really hard. They had a really good team and a good pitching, and kudos to them. And Kevin Cash, they worked hard throughout the year. So definitely, and they eliminated the Yankees. Can you believe that? In the earlier rounds, so they got to be really happy with that. They are, one of the most exciting teams to watch in the American League, and they really showed it in the World Series. So kudos to them for a good run.
All right. So in saying that, we got to discuss what we thought was fair, what we thought was foul. There's so much to talk about in 6 games. And of course, there obviously is that really big controversy at the end of the World Series, which, I think is going to be our biggest point at the end of all this. So Norb, take it away with the fairs.
Yes. Like I said, the 2020 World Series was exciting. A lot of twists and turns and incredible moments. And one of the most incredible moments of that series, as one of my faves, is every Dodgers player in the lineup hitting a home run in the series. As much as the Rays pitching, both starting and the bullpen were solid all year, they at times couldn't contend with the Dodgers lineup that are powerhouse throughout the year. They had the best record in the season. I believe this is actually one of the only times in baseball history that has ever happened where every player has hit a home run in the World Series in that incredible lineup. Yes, in any case, they with those home runs helped them get ahead of the game and win the World Series for the first time in 32 years. And they can thank the city of Arlington, Texas, and their new ballpark, Globe Life Field, because it is a hitters friendly ballpark, and it's always a hitters friendly ballpark in at Texas, because they love to see home runs because everything is big in Texas.
Everything's bigger
And
in Texas.
absolutely. So home runs were one of them. One of the reasons why, they put on a show for the fans, even though it was limited number and it was socially distancing happening. So it was an exciting series, that's for sure. And the other fair I have is Randy Arozarena, another exciting young
Incredible.
man. Yeah,
Incredible.
indeed. The first taste of the World Series truly did not disappoint. 3 home runs and 4 RBIs. Can you imagine that? Hitting the record books in this series in his young career. 364 average, 773 slugging, uh, 10 home runs, 14 RBIs collectively in the postseason. And that 3 home runs that he hit in the World Series, again, as I mentioned, put him in the record books with some of a good company, joining the 1939 Yankees, Charlie Keller, the '09 Phillies, Chase Utley, and 2017 Astros, George Springer, to hit that many home runs in the World Series. Unbelievable, to say the least.
Yeah, he set records. Like I think, like you said, most hits ever by somebody in a postseason. It's so big. I mean, we heard the report. Cardinals president John Mozeliak, is if I'm saying his name right, regretting trading Arozarena to the Rays, saying it's on him and he'll take the blame for that. That takes a lot. That takes a lot of balls to say that. I'll say it. I mean, I know. I'm sure Cardinals fans are looking back, or we're watching this whole series and are going, "Holy heck!" But I mean, he's just a player that you love to cheer for, you love to root for, and it had the Rays won the World Series. I mean, if I probably like in the ALCS, you would have known that he would have been the World Series MVP. I mean, you could argue, not, I could sound crazy, but there are like those rare occurrences in sports that, I mean, hasn't happened in God knows how long. Like, or we're talking early '60s, where like a player from the losing side becomes MVP just because of how unbelievably they performed. I mean, I remember like LeBron James in an NBA Finals a couple years back saying people were considering him to be the NBA Finals MVP, and they lost to the Warriors, and yet he was saying, "Please don't do that." I mean, because that's not what I want, right? I can't blame him. But I got to give props to Arozarena. As for the Dodgers, just to back up your fouls, Corey Seager becoming your World Series MVP, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. Walked 6 times. Just a force to be reckoned with. 400, 556, 700 was a slashing. Incredible performance all around. I was arguing that it could have been Justin Turner because there were a fair amount of options for sure. For the Dodgers, Bellinger was another option. Mookie Betts had a somewhat of a. I mean, like, yeah, he's receiving home runs, but not the strongest of numbers when you compare it to Seager, to Turner, but. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess Globe Life is going to be known as a hitter's park after this World Series. I mean, I didn't even cross my mind because like, I mean, I guess on screen you look at the dimensions of the field and you're going, okay, this looks to be pitcher friendly, but nope, that was not the case. But yeah, congratulations to him as well. I think another fair that I want to add on is Kershaw. The long-awaited chase for the ring and the emotion on his face when Urias got the final strike. Oh my goodness, you can tell that the guy was felt like a monkey was off his back, or like a whole set of like haters just jumped off his back. He can breathe, running to the field in excitement. I mean, I can't be happier for Kershaw. I mean, I know when the series started, a lot of people were saying, even if you weren't a Dodgers fan, as long as Kershaw gets his ring, because he's going to be a future Hall of Famer, everything will be okay in the world. And he got it. He got it. He put up. I have to pull up his stats. We should have been a bit more prepared. But he was lights out. I mean, the narrative of Kershaw can't perform, especially in a second start of a series, was gone. To me, it felt like, I don't know about to you, Nor, but it felt like it was over. It was long gone here. He was in two starts in the World Series. 14 strikeouts. Only 3 earned runs. He had a 2.31 ERA. He was just lights out for the LA Dodgers. And I don't know how you feel, but to me, it just screams like, thank goodness that he finally like, kicked it into high gear. Because everybody was curious about that second start, heading into game 5. We're like, how is Kershaw going to do this time? Because we know the history that he had. The the struggles that he had in the second start, and he pulled it off. I'm like, thank goodness. So I mean, he pitched shorter, but just at the end of the day, still dominant, still dominant.
Yeah, for sure. And I think compared to previous postseasons, he was really, really in the zone this year. He barely made any mistakes. Like he was focused. His pitching it was incredible. If you've learned from the previous postseasons and failed at those times, he really learned this time how to stay focused, stay in the zone. His pitches were incredibly working for him, and playing in Texas for two series in the postseason, like really helped him to just pitch well, because he got used to Texas, he got used to the ballpark and the surroundings there, so it gave him a lot of time to get gelled in the ballpark and stay focused. So I think it was an advantage for him, and this playoff bubble thing was a fabulous idea. So it really helped the Dodgers.
It helps out a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like cutting travel and just staying in one ballpark for a whole month or whatnot. I think it truly helped Kershaw and the Dodgers offense for sure. So incredible job by Dave Roberts and the gang. Winning that first World Series in 32 years.
I think one final fair that I want to give props to, and one final acclamation I want to give out was to Julio Urias, who 2.1 innings in Game 6, again, like literally like the definition of lights out, 4 strikeouts, getting the save to send LA to flood the streets in the middle of a pandemic. Incredible. And even in Game 4, even though he had two earned runs, 9 strikeouts, 4.2 innings, he went the distance. He was just incredible, and I think he, like, from Mexico, I know there were a lot of people excited for Urias. Just absolutely dominant. It ended up being one of the better relievers, I think, of the series, especially getting that crucial save, the series deciding save. I'm like, that's you can't ask for anything better. You cannot ask for anything better. Let's go to the fouls, because obviously there are going to be mistakes, there are going to be like blunders, both on and off the field. I guess it's weird to say off the field, but here we are. I'm going to start with the first one. The biggest foul, obviously, you have to. Oh boy, you have to look at. You have to start with Game 4. You have to start with Game 4.
Blunder and a half.
Kenley Jansen. I don't even know. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with Game 4. I mean, like the blunder, like obviously the wild chase for the Rays. Obviously, first of all, everybody was already complaining that the Dodgers were going after Arozarena, saying they should just walk Arozarena and get Brett Phillips up, because he's a significantly worse batter than Arozarena. No kidding. And Kenley Jansen, he had like a bit of a confidence boost in Game 3, but this is still not the Kenley Jansen that we're so used to seeing in past years. This is a completely different guy who like felt like his confidence was gone, long gone. And the fact that Brett Phillips of all people got that big hit. I mean, great for the Rays. Oh my goodness, Kenley Jansen. I've never, when I look back at that clip at the deciding, like the double RBI, like the winning runs, what amazed me was Kenley Jansen just going on his knees down on the mound and be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I done this. You're like, dude, there is still a runner circling third, and you have a runner that's circling second. I'm not a pitcher. I'm not a baseball. I never was a baseball player. Like I never had the opportunity to play on a little league team, so I can't judge. But I feel like for every baseball fan, it's like pitching 101. If there are runners going, and there's a runner on his way to home, the pitcher should run back behind home plate. He really should. And the first run came in, and Kenley Jansen and Arozarena was caught in the rundown. Thinking like, okay, well, that's not going to go well. And then Will Smith drops that ball that was thrown to him from first, and Kenley Jansen's still standing there. He's still standing, like basically hugging the third base foul line. I'm like, Jansen, what are you doing, sweetie? This is like you could have gone up 3-1 in the series. Exactly. We didn't see him again. Fair, but oh my goodness, I feel like the Dodgers bailed out Kenley Jansen in winning the World Series because had it been flipped, had we gone to Game 7, had we gone to Game 7, and the Rays winning it. That being said, obviously everybody's going to look at Kenley Jansen in Game 4 and his positioning and just showing pitchers down the line how crucial it is. That you need to know your spots. I mean, I know it sucks to be better. I know it sucks to give up that hit. I know it sucks to be in such high pressure. But at the end of the day, you still gotta find a way to kick it in, or otherwise you don't deserve to be there. Frankly, which is it's rough to say, but I mean, again, yeah, it's the situation you're in. You know what the stakes are. You still have to go back to your baseball 101. Your pitching roots, your playing roots, your baseball roots, whatever the phrase I kind of want to go with. And he should have ran to the back behind home plate, and he didn't. I'm just amazed. Norb, I'm just surprised.
Well, we've seen Kenley Jansen pitch, and he's usually solid in the season, but the postseason is still trying to get some monkey off his back. And Kenley Jansen is a power pitcher. We see him again. Just not pitching so well in a pressure situation, especially when there's two guys on or whatnot. He did feel the pressure again in Game 4, and it cost the Dodgers that win. They let the Rays tie the series 2 games apiece, and Brett Phillips was a hero in that game. Even though Kenley Jansen had one of those bad games, at least he had a good backup in the bullpen in Julio, Urias, and the other ensemble there in the bullpen. He had a lot of backup, and even though that Dave Roberts trusts Jansen a lot for closing games, at least there was somebody else that can step in for the Dodgers, and Julio Urias really stepped up. He reminds me of a Fernando Valenzuela, the left-handed pitcher for the Dodgers back in the 80s. Another young guy, stud, have a really good presence in the field, really good athlete, and really, really good pitches that he's thrown, and he was zoned in. So Jansen was relied heavily upon in the past postseasons, and unfortunately, Dave Roberts trusts him so much, but I guess that rusty arm just really caught up with him in Game 4.
Well, I can't blame. I mean, I will say this. I mean, I can't blame. If you have a closer, obviously you're going to go through a closer no matter what. I mean, for example, it's like this is an out of stretch comparison, and I feel like I could get attacked for this. I mean, if Mariano Rivera had a couple bad games, you're still going to start Mariano Rivera, right? Because I mean, that is the Yankees closer, and for the Dodgers, this was the closer. But again, it just wasn't clicking. In the 2 games that Kenley Jansen played, by the way, a 10.8 ERA, 2 earned runs, obviously those big runs in Game 4, 3 hits, and all of us in an inning and 2/3. His batting average against him 375, 444 OPP, slugging 750. The numbers were astronomically high, and you bring up a good point about Urias backing up because the Dodgers were using a lot of openers in this series, and I can't blame them. It's like they wanted to keep the flexibility. They wanted to keep their strong guns as rested as they could because again, you don't know how long this series is going to go and whatnot. So it's almost like a big blessing that Urias stepped up because and especially Urias going 4 innings in Game 5. I mean, with the way that the Dodgers are using the bullpen, obviously you're going to be a little bit anxious knowing that you're losing some pieces because they're used for opening. They're used from the opening frame of the game, so good for them. Another foul that we have to bring up, and you were going all over social media saying, "Congratulations, Kevin Cash! You caught the world." Yeah, thank you, Kevin.
The real MVP of the World Series, there, Kevin Cash.
Yeah, it's a decision to pull Blake Snell after an incredible performance. He was pitching a shutout. He was having the time of his life on the mound. And analytics came to play. It's funny because I didn't even but obviously, like I know how important analytics are in today's day and age. You know, like sites like Baseball Reference, for example, like new stats like WAR has come up in recent years. You know how important analytics are, and I mean, it worked like obviously the Athletics and Moneyball, too worked. With crunching numbers, and I mean, it amazes me how important it, like somehow in such a high pressure situation, that's still a big thing. Social media. I mean, I was on Twitter throughout the whole thing, and Kevin Cash is getting absolutely slaughtered on social media, with the decision to pull Blake Snell. It cost him big. Nick Anderson was not himself. I mean, he's having a great regular season, and just the postseason was just gone. I mean, I take him out of my Diamond Dynasty team in MLB 20 for how embarrassing he is. Nick Anderson has been, and I'm just amazed at the decision. I know I'm gonna throw this to you because I know you have you were so fixated on that in this. I can't blame you, and I mean, even in my group chats, I'm going off and I'm going, what the hell are they doing? Like, do they not want to play tomorrow? Like, you guys want to go home early? Like, you guys just miss your family? I don't know, but it's obviously it is what it is. It was a bad decision. It cost them a title. Obviously, I'm sure they would have wanted to erase the '08 memory, and they did in the worst way possible by this. It was just Norbz, let's go to you. It was just horrendous. It was such a
I mean, to add to that, I mean, Kevin Cash, he's a new school manager. You got to realize that new school managers have all these creative, innovative ways. They're going through analytics and sabermetrics and all those crap stats. And as an old school guy myself, if I was an old school manager, I'd frown upon that. Because I get it. New school managers, they're very careful about their pitchers. They don't want them to get hurt.
It's a new era. It's definitely a new era.
Exactly. Like a lot of pitchers have gone through Tommy John surgeries, but in the case of Blake Snell, he was cruising, 73 pitches. He was feeling good. He was holding a 1-0 lead. Pitching 5 1/3 innings up to that point, and he was still in the zone. And that's what new school managers have to realize. When they are in the zone, they still want to pitch. So if you're a new school manager out there, throw out your analytics to the fire pit of Halloween hell, because that should not exist in those pressure situations, especially in a championship game when you have a starting pitcher feeling good about himself, that he's able to manage to get out of a tough situation. And if he's dealing, you have to trust your pitcher 110%. And old school managers, back in the 70s and 80s, like pitchers like Jack Morris, Nolan Ryan, Roger Clemens, Tom Seaver, Sandy Koufax, all those pitchers. I know it's a different era. And I know the new baseball fans would disagree with me, but when you're a starting pitcher, your job is to finish what you started. And those Hall of Fame pitchers back in the 70s and 80s, or even before, they knew how to get into the zone, and they knew how to pitch from pitch one in the first inning to the ninth inning, whichever they can. However they dealt with it. So they were focused, they were in the zone, and those old school managers really, really trusted them in those situations. So I don't blame you can blame Kevin Cash for the mistakes, but he has a point of taking care of his pitchers. But in a pressure situation like that, in the biggest game of your life, you have to let your pitchers pitch.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget, even the game before, in Game 5, Clayton Kershaw was also pulled early, 5 2/3. Again, he was cruising. Again, he allowed 2 runs, but again, he was cruising. Had a good lead, and even when Dave Roberts came out to the mound, Justin Turner was shaking his head and going, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And again, I get like another example of new school mentality coming into play. And again, social media was destroying Dave Roberts, and even like the jokes that came out for Kevin Cash was like, well, Kevin Cash Kevin Cash did that so Dave Roberts can get the heat off of him, and it's not like a wrong thought. It was again a questionable decision to pull out Kershaw. Thankfully, Dustin May, Victor Gonzalez, Trinian, saved Kershaw, saved Dave Roberts, I should say. Not save Kershaw, but again, it was just it amazes me how these players. It's cliche to say, but this is what these players dream of. They dream of just trying to deliver. They dream of wanting to become champion. They dream of wanting to be the hero, right? And when they're in that moment, I would presume, and if I was in that situation, I would presume that my first thought would be, I don't know if I'm going to be in this situation again. It's hard to get to the World Series, even in a 60-game season. You could. I know it's arguable, but it's still tough to get there. It's still a hard road to get there, no matter what. You train, you grew up, you live for this day, and it sucks that it just gets pulled away because of analytics, because of situations. I mean, again, if the situation's right, then the situation's right. But at the end of the day, you just gotta throw out that book out the window and say, okay, you're having a good time right now. You are having a game to remember. Stay. And the Dodgers were not figuring out Blake Snell. Blake Snell was just on almost like Terminator, just so focused and so just eliminating them one by one. It's like the Dodgers could not figure them out. Obviously, as soon as Nick Anderson came in, the Dodgers must have said in their heads, "We got this in the bag now," and they did. So
yeah,
you're right. I mean, there comes a time when you have to say, okay, to keep doing it. Keep doing what you're doing. It almost reminded me of Matt Harvey in the 2015 World Series. When, it backfired on Matt Harvey, but Harvey was looking at his manager saying, "What are you doing?" I believe it was Terry Collins. You put me back out there right now, because again, Matt Harvey's in the zone. He listened. Obviously, he blew it, and the game went to extra innings, and the Royals ended up winning the World Series that game. But it goes to show that when you have confident pitchers, you need if they want to stay out there and if they want to continue to prove themselves. Then Matt Harvey was a bad example, but you gotta let them do. And so we move now to the last foul, and it's the foul that unfortunately, and it sucks because, and I say unfortunately because it should not have overcome the news of the Dodgers winning the World Series. It's Justin Turner, who was tested positive for COVID midway through the game. He was pulled out in the 7th inning. Because results from the afternoon came back positive, because I believe the day before his positive COVID test was inconclusive. So they wanted to make sure again. And then as soon as they got the results back, they pulled him out, and he was asked to stay. Dodgers are celebrating on the field. He was asked to stay in isolation, broke protocol, went out there, held the World Series trophy, kissing his wife, taking off his mask, hugging teammates, for photos. Hooray, hooray, hooray. First of all, I can't blame him. Your dream just came true, right? I mean, you are a champion of the world, as everybody outside of America would argue, but you are a champion of the world by MLB standards. And it's I get it. There's emotions, there's relief, there's satisfaction, there's all this stuff. You want to break I know, you want to break protocol. You want to be out there with your teammates who you were with in spring training, who you survived the pandemic with and whatnot, in this case, in this season in particular, and you want to be out there with them because this is so big. This is so big for the player, for the family, but the negligence just breaks my heart, especially, and I don't want America to come after me, but it's especially in America, it just amazes me how I get it, the emotions are running high, but there's still a risk of not necessarily just you, but of other people and their peers, right? And those peers, it's unfortunately with the COVID, it's just such a chain reaction. And now you have to wait to see how the Dodgers are, how the Rays are, because obviously they played with the Dodgers, obviously being in close contact on bases and whatnot. It's just so unfortunate. And MLB came out with a statement today saying that, Justin Turner broke protocol. We told him to isolate. We told him to stay in there. He forced his way in there, completely throwing him under the bus. I can't blame social media. I can't blame MLB. I cannot, at the end of the day, Justin Turner just did probably one of the most clumsiest, one of the most selfish moves out there. It hurts to say, because again, he is a champion. But like I said, the negligence is just insurmountable, and it's just unfortunate. It's just how inconsiderate he was to everybody. And obviously, obviously the fans are apart, but what if? Right? I'm not saying COVID travels like 85 yards, but the mind, it goes to your mind, right? And people, it's just again, people and with the stats about this virus are like, like close contact can with the droplets, blah 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 blah. I'm not going to get into it because I know some people think COVID says otherwise, but um, it's just unfortunate, and I cannot blame social media for the outrage, for the frustrations for sure, but it is what it is. I guess it's I think, and I guess we're gonna have to wait to see what MLB does because it sounds like they're gonna come out with some sort of punishment, some sort of fine. I presume at least a fine, as weird as to say. And I don't know. You can go ahead, but it's just
Yeah.
it sucks. It sucks.
Yeah, MLB will launch an investigation on that into the breaking the protocol, enforcing its way in back to the field and celebrate with the team. Like, you know what, it was really bad timing to get the news that you tested positive for COVID in the middle of the game. I think like he was pulled when the sixth or seventh inning,
Seventh.
the seventh inning, yeah. And yeah, it's tough. It's a really tough call. Like I know your emotion. You're excited to to win this game and to celebrate with your team your first championship in 32 years. You know what, it's tough. It was tough for Justin Turner. Imagine like having to self isolate somewhere in the ballpark and not able to celebrate with your team and with your family. It really is sad. But at the same time, you broke protocol. It was just bad timing that you got the positive test news given to you, and it's just was bad timing for Justin Turner to get that and to wanted to celebrate to want to celebrate with your team. I mean, it was a real tough call, and I feel for him. And
Now,
for yeah,
go on. Yeah.
and yeah, it's really tough. Like I know you wanted to celebrate with your team. You're way too excited, and you just want to hug everybody. But I guess now that they'll have to test everybody that was around him, the family members and the players and coaches and the executive staff. Yeah, I mean they may have to get tested again, and hopefully hope for the best to not test positive just the way Justin Turner did.
Now, I also feel like the Dodgers winning the World Series upon learning the news is one of the biggest reliefs for them, for PR purposes, for everybody, because had the Rays won, what happens with Game 7? What happens with Game 7? Because you have a player that just tested positive. Yeah. I mean, we've seen the Marlins lose a bunch of games because of COVID. The Jays a little bit. The Phillies lost an insane amount. So did the Cardinals, having to make time with double headers left and right. And again, like the question is, what would have happened? How would you have tried to fix what was going to be one of the craziest PR disasters I think I've ever seen in sports? They dodged one of the biggest bullets of all time, and it's like, what do you do? Like, do you wait 2 weeks? For Game 7? Do you refund the fan? Well, you had to refund the fans that bought tickets for Game 7 if it was necessary. Yeah. And then the questions, if the people didn't think this season was an asterisk, they definitely would have by then, because players got time to rest up, players got time to reset, study more film, whatever they needed to do, and then who knows, maybe like the Dodgers winning the Rays winning Game 6, you could have maybe lost momentum because it wasn't the next day. Boom, the Dodgers win the World Series, and then everybody says that the Dodgers got lucky because they took a few weeks off because their player tested positive, and vice versa. They're lucky. They are so lucky, and like that's probably one of the one times where I don't want the MLB season to end. I want the MLB season to end, I should say, because it's like, Jesus, like that would have been horrendous. And again, they got so lucky that the Dodgers wrapped up the series this past week. Just they got a big break.
Despite the circumstances, I mean, like, can you imagine, having to postpone Game 7 until about a week or 2 weeks later? I mean, like all those canceled, postponed games from St. Louis. Like, imagine the time frame that they have to, cut those games out and play again. Like, I could imagine it would have been 1 to 2 weeks until they get back on the field. And can you imagine the Rays, getting that momentum back after a couple weeks, and you got rusty arms that you're trying to heal, it would have killed so much momentum for
Everybody
both
would have felt
teams.
refreshed. I mean, like you could have like
Yes.
wait a couple of weeks. You would have got Snell versus Kershaw in a couple of weeks, even though they just pitched like day or the day before, the day of.
Yeah.
They would have got away with it. And I think another and a point just slipped my mind. Oh, I had a good point to go with it and just slipped my mind, and it's gonna bug me now because because what I was going to say. Oh yeah, what I was gonna say was like, what if? I mean, everybody reacts to COVID differently. You know, we from asymptomatic to heavy symptoms to unfortunately ICU situations. You know, and obviously, you know, my heart goes out to those that are in intensive care because of this whole thing. Which players would have been out? Which players would have been healthy, ready to go? You know, for example, what if like maybe Corey Seager couldn't play because he got so sick from the pandemic? If Arozarena got sick because of the pandemic, you know, there would have been so many questions that unfortunately, you know, would just been lingering for a long, long time, and it would have just put such a damper on it because of this. And I like I said, they caught a big bullet. I hope everybody's okay, but again, like it would have been worse than you know, everybody already making fun of, you know, the people are making fun of all championships, all their asterisks because like they delayed and they burned the bubble, blah blah blah. I'm like, so hard to get, so hard to do, and they are still champions at the end of the day. You hear that, Norb? The Los Angeles Dodgers are still champions at the end of the day, and they will ride that until the next World Series champion in 2021. Unless they go back to back, then we'll really get a crazy Norb, right?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Oh man. And I'm gonna bring up one foul. I think I'm gonna close on one final foul, one final one, a fun one. The owners should not be the first people to get the trophy, ever. Hockey gets a fair for doing it right. The players get that trophy first. Stop it. Just stop it. They're the ones on the field that are working their asses off to get a title for you. And the fact that you had the Dodgers owner just with a long sheet of paper thanking the academy and more, saying like, dude, give it to the players. So I got so emotional, my headphone jack came out. They're the ones that worked their butts off. Stop it. Shut up. I mean, but again, it's their moment. Let them have their moment. I'm not gonna fault them for that, but just, oh my goodness, can we please give the players the trophy first? They should get it first. That's how I want to end this off. Just stop it. Absolutely stop it.